Frontal, Whitesnake, and now he's here. This is David Coverdale on Planet
Let the
Rock.
trumpet sound, let the angels sing, for it's time for Up Close and Personal with David Coverdale.
When I first saw you, baby, you took my breath away. I knew your name was trouble, but
Welcome back, boys and girls. Good to see you again. And that was Give Me All Your Love Tonight from the new Whitesnake's Greatest Hits. For any of you who have any questions or curiosities, email Tim, the enchanter, at whitesnake.com. We'll try to answer you directly on the show or through Instagram or Twitter. Of course, we'd love to hear from you. Back to the music. This is a song that I would literally pour my entire pocket money, my allowance, into a jukebox to listen to this song repeatedly. Written by Ray Davies, one of my favorite British composers, and the amazing band, The Kinks. You Really Got Me. You know, Mikey, I'm pretty eclectic in my musical taste. I don't think a lot of people know that. They tend to think you as a one-track kind of pony. The only thing you probably won't hear on this broadcast will be my love of classical music, the Baroque, Mozart, Bach, Vivaldi. Anyway, so there you go. I'm pretty eclectic in my musical taste. Jimmy Page called me a musicologist. And I want to play some interesting songs for you, maybe not anticipated, but songs that really are close to my heart. There's a great country duo, Ira and Charlie Louvin, who I adore. And they were the precursor, like Simon and Garfunkel, that kind of thing, that beautiful two-part harmony. Some very funny stuff. They were like rock stars. Ira, when he'd had a drink, would sometimes like smash his mandolin during a concert, and then when he was sober, he'd fix it again.
Oh my God.
But volcanic temper, drinker, womanizer. I mean, a man, you know, to look up to. Anyway, he's a threefer for you. I hope you like him. They're all connected through generations, the beautiful thread of music.
you're running wild.
Hi, I'm David Coverdale. Don't miss the farewell tour of Whitesnake starting May 10th in Dublin, Ireland. Thursday the 12th in Glasgow. Saturday the 14th in Newcastle. Monday the 16th, London. Wednesday the 18th, Manchester. Friday, Nottingham. Sunday, Birmingham. And Wednesday, the 25th, Cardiff. We bid a fun farewell. Can't wait to see you.
This is David Coverdale on Planet Rock.
Darling, Stephen, once a snake, always a snake. The Paganini of rock, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, the kingdom rejoices at the return of the seven-string sorcerer. Hi, darling.
Hello. How's it going?
Oh, it's going really well.
You getting into some trouble?
Oh, I hope so. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I know there's a lot of challenges for everybody, but I'm kind of like hibernating in my studio boy cave.
As I discussed with you earlier, this is going to be about music that just stopped you in your tracks. What was it as the young Stephen Visigoth guy that got your attention and thought, oh my God, I want to do this?
Well, you know, it's like most kids, you're influenced by the music that your parents are listening to. So when I was young, they were bringing home West Side Story and all this classical thing. So I was very into that. But then there was that fateful day. My sister came home with Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh, yeah.
And this was really the introduction of that kind of music in the house. And I was probably 10 or 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as soon as I heard the song Heartbreaker and that guitar solo, that kind of did it for me.
Have you ever met Jimmy?
Yeah, several times. He was always very nice, very kind, yeah.
He's a total doll, one of the beautiful souls of the world. But I think on that song, he told me that that's the first time he used number one, which was the Les Paul he bought from Joe Walsh, I think, and I think he recorded it.
Really?
Yeah, it was the first time he used the Les Paul and Marshall combo.
Nice.
Because what was really shocking to me as a guitar fan was that so many of his early recordings, and I think that might have been an inspiration of Jeff. Of course, Jeff Beck would work a Telecaster with Gibson pickups, if you remember way back.
Yeah.
And it was really unique, edgy, unique sound.
Oh, yeah.
I was really shocked to hear that Jimmy used a Telecaster on most of the first two records. And he bought that, the first Les Paul, what he calls the number one, from Joey Walsh on a US tour. And recorded that solo, what you're talking about, that riff.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, must have been that guitar. That fluffed up your chakras, did it?
You know, the funny thing was later on in life, I discovered that a lot of that early stuff was, in fact, a Telecaster, and that was a stunner. He got a sound out of that. And as a matter of fact, he used that little amp, what was it, a Dragonfire, or it was this little amplifier that he recently had sort of rebuilt and only 50 made, and I actually got one.
When I worked with him, he taught Mikey Mack and I just amazing stuff. When we set up in a studio, we had stuff going from that tiny little amp, that pig nose and a Fender Twin Reverb, 50-watt Marshall, 100-watt Marshall, a stack.
Really? So he was using a lot of different amps and stuff?
And miking, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I would call you the seven-string saucer, and he was the sonic alchemist to me.
Boy, I wish I was a fly on that wall.
Yeah, he's amazing. I love him so deeply. We've maintained a super friendship.
That whole record became like a meditation.
Yeah.
That's where I started formulating the picture of wanting to play in front of people. And
Had you been playing guitar before that, Stephen?
no, I wanted to, but I never had the courage.
Oh my God, it was that motivational.
Yeah, that was it. I was about 7 or 8 years old when I saw another young boy who was like 9 playing the guitar. And when you're 7 and somebody's like 9 or 10, they're like gods, you know what I mean? Well, that's when I fell in love with the guitar and wanted to play it, but never had the courage. But then when I heard Heartbreaker, that was a determining moment. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm playing, and that's it.
It's that, isn't it? It's that instant.
Yeah, it's that was it. That was the moment. And for me, Page was the guy. He was the first one I heard, so everything was Led Zeppelin.
Every single member of Zeppelin, J.P. Jones, Jimmy, those two were actual producers and session players.
Exactly, yeah.
The original idea was to get Terry Reid in as a singer.
Yeah.
And Terry Reid's father passed on that and said, my lad's going to make it on his own, God bless him. And they heard about Screaming Bob Plant. And Robert they went up to Birmingham's, Jimmy and Peter, and saw the Band of Joy, and Robert brought Bonzo in, and my God, was that the universe moving chess pieces, because that was just a beautiful collaboration from all of them.
Yeah.
So Black Dog, baby.
Yeah, that was the next one that just lit me up. Just the sound of it, the riff was so badass, you know.
Hey, mama said the way you move.
Even today, when that song comes on, I'm 16.
Apparently, Robert said the lyric on Black Dog, it's super, super tune. Bonzo, because it was so confusing at times, the time changes, Bonzo did his usual magical hot knife through butter, playing straight through it, which anchored it magnificently. Robert said the inspiration was a black dog that was hanging around the Manor Studios, but I knew black dog was an expression that Winston Churchill used to describe his depressive mood shifts. Give me some champagne or a cognac, I've got the black dog upon me. As Coverdale does the worst Churchill impression on earth.
Yeah, and the thing about it that's so interesting is how it stops, the time drops.
Yeah.
And then I would always wonder, how did they know to come in together on the riff? And then I discovered, if you listen really carefully, you can hear Bonzo do a little click with the sticks. He goes, do-do-do-da-da-da.
Yeah. It's also the benefit of CD, high def. Okay, so you have a surprise to me when you sent me your faves, which was actually my very first album that I made. The first time I was in a recording studio, meaning the Rolling Stones truck.
Wow.
That's the first time I made a record. And of course, over to you to announce it.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I had read and studied a bit about how you got into the band and the procedure, and I kind of felt the same way, how they must have been stunned when they first heard you sing. And I don't know if I knew if Burn was the first record that you actually recorded. That's astonishing that you came out of the chute with that happening. When you joined the band, the sound of your voice, the power, there was something just so substantial. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, there was always the admiration, respect, and awe for Richie and his playing.
Of course.
But like you said before, when the elements come together, something special happens. And that record, and particularly that song, Burn, it was a masterpiece. It was just fabulous.
Oh, bless your heart. I'll tell you how enthusiastic, how keen I was. I think I'd written 6 versions of the lyric.
Oh, really?
One of them, which Lordy, God rest his soul, John Lord would remind me of when, we worked together in Whitesnake, of course, too. And we'd warm up before a show and he'd start doing this kind of swing thing, cheesy cabaret. And I'd go, the sky is red. I don't understand. It's past midnight. I still see the land. People say, like some lounge crooner.
Yeah.
I'd had a version called The Road. We'd go, take me down the road, which isn't quite as sexy as Burn,
Yeah.
But anyway, the guys came in and I'd laid out this bunch of lyrics, No Sleep for DC. And Richie was the one who chose this kind of sci-fi lyric, which was about like the end of Atlantis. Thank you, Stephen. I'm honored. It's like getting another Rock and Roll Hall of Fame award, mate.
I'll tell you a little interesting story. Are you familiar with Generation Axe, which is the 5-guitar band that I go out with? It's me, Yngwie, Nuno, Zach, and Tosin.
Oh, yeah.
But our encore song, I did an arrangement for 5 guitars for Burn.
Oh, my God, you have to send me it.
Well, I'm going to be mixing it pretty soon, and once I finish mixing it, I'll send it. But it's interesting because it's all guitars.
Billy Sheehan told me, who you worked with in the David Lee Roth band. Billy said that his solo sequence was the Burn song, which I was dying to hear, and I never ever got to hear it.
It's no secret that record just had such a massive historical impact on not just the musicians that had gravitated to it, but just in the pantheons of rock music in general. I mean, come on, Burn. Jeez. It's a masterpiece,
Steve Vai, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the saucy 7-string sorcerer.
The saucy 7-stringer.
1,000 thanks to you, darling. Love you dearly, Stephen. So honored that I had the pleasure of knowing you and getting to work with your prodigious talent. My love to you and your family, and stay safe in these challenging times, my brother.
Thank you so much, Dave. And the feeling's mutual. I look back at those days and feel the blessing. And, one of the things I recognize after a career is all of the success is nice, but it's the people you meet along the way and the bond that you create with them that's really the thing that lasts. So thank you for this invitation and for everything, brother.
May the thread between us always be connected.
This is David Coverdale on Planet Rock.
Welcome back to Up Close and Personal with David Coverdale and the Hook City Hooligans. That will be the elusive butterfly Elise, Mikey Mack, and Professor Tom.
Hey, DC, can you tell us that story about that lunchtime gig you did way back when?
Oh, really? It's story time, boys and girls. Pull up a chair and I'll begin. Several years before getting the gig with Deep Purple, I was in a super local band, sometimes called Government or the Skyliners, and we had several names for different style shows. Long story. So imagine, if you will, a Sunday lunchtime gig in a working men's club in the north of England. Yes, lunchtime. And yes, Sunday. And if I remember correctly, it was Stillington Working Men's Club. Not sure if it's still there, but I'm sure one of our listeners can enlighten us. These were the days when the whole band and all the relatively modest equipment, amps, guitars, drums, were all packed snugly into a Ford Transit van. So we arrive at the gig early enough to set up, and being the singer, I of course avoided the unpacking and setting up. So on the premise of needing to pee, I headed straight for the back door of the club, where I imagined the dressing room was. So I walk in, all of 17 years old, and there's a completely naked woman standing there. Turned out she was the lunchtime stripper, and we were our opening act. And that, boys and girls, is the end of story time. Love will set you free. Love will set you free. Whitesnake, love songs. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, may the universe shower you with blessings, each and every one of you. And until we meet again along the road, be safe, be happy, and don't let anybody make you afraid.
I'm sad to say it's time to go.
Up close and personal with David Coverdale, the Hook City Hooligans, courtesy of Planet Rock.